So for the first chakra, the Muladhara chakra, there are some asanas or yoga postures that we can do that get us rooted, stable, grounded, and connected. So one of the very first ones we can start with is Tadasana, which is commonly known as mountain pose. And that just gets our feet fully connected to the ground and connected up through our legs, which really provide the base for our entire body. Another move that we can do are lunges as we build strength and stability, again, in the legs, which are part of our foundation for our body. And foundation, bones, and that whole structure of our body is associated with the Muladhara, with the first chakra. We can also do a pose called bound angle, which is commonly known as butterfly. And so what I'm going to do is just demonstrate a few of those in a very, very short flow here. You're welcome to adapt this as it, is appropriate for you. So don't ever feel like you have to do exactly what I'm doing here. I'm also not super flexible, so don't worry about having to be flexible. So we're going to start in mountain pose, and you just step your feet out to hip-width distance apart. Begin to think about sort of stacking everything, so it's going to be a real stable position here. We're stacking shoulders over the hips, over the knees, over the ankles. Feet can be apart or toes can be touching to kind of keep that energetic connection there, keeping that circuit going, energy flowing. Gaze is forward. Engage the legs a little bit here. Bring the pelvis back just a bit. And then make sure you tuck the tailbone under. So we don't want the back swayed here. Tuck the tailbone under. Engage the quads. You can even rock forward and back a little bit as you find stability here in mountain pose. And so although it feels like we're just standing, how it becomes yoga is your presence here and being fully aware of just the moment where you are right now. And then also our breathing. So begin to inhale and exhale through the nose. I even recommend turning the palms up and out as it helps open up the chest here and lift the heart. And this is Tadasana. This is mountain pose. So work on finding stability here. Another little trick I like to do is to lift up all 10 of my toes. So they're sort of like this. And then one by one from the pinky toe side in, lowering my toes down to the ground. I find that that adds to the stability that I have and my connection to the ground. So here we are in mountain pose, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And closing the eyes for a moment here. Finding any last second adjustments you may need to feel fully stable. And then we'll begin to move just a little bit here. On an inhale, bring your arms out to the side, up overhead. Lift your gaze toward your thumbs, let them touch. Bring the palms together as you exhale and then hinge forward at the hips, dropping the head, releasing the hands down to the mat, finding yourself in a forward fold. As you can see, knees can be nice and bent here, have a softness to them. Gaze is back between your legs. Now find that rootedness, that connectedness through the feet into the ground. And on an inhale, just roll up your spine slowly here. As you exhale, roll the shoulders back a little, lift the head, find yourself back in that mountain pose. This is our base. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead again. Lift the gaze if there's no pressure on the neck here. Touch the palms together. Exhale with soft bend in the knees. Dropping the head, lifting the hips. Bringing your heart toward the tops of your thighs. Adding as much of a bend to the knees as you need. So as I'm talking you through this, you should find yourself going through a couple cycles of breath. Literally hanging out here. When you reach your next inhale, let that begin to lift you up. Soft bend in the knees, rolling up the spine. When you get to the top, exhale, roll the shoulders back. Open up the palms. Inhale, lift the arms up overhead. Exhale, palms come together, bow forward. Feet are still nice and stable there, rooted and connected to the mat. And now we're going to add that lunge we talked about. So if you need to bend the knees to get the palms to the ground, do so now. And then extend the right leg back, finding yourself in a lunge. So this is another move we may think that we're familiar with from our elementary school days, or as an athlete, all the different stretches that we do. Again, just hang out here while I talk. Try to get settled in. You can always lower that right knee if you need to. And if this bothers your wrists to have the palms down, you can make fists and bring those to the mat. So a lot of us have the tendency to hike that right hip back. I encourage you to bring the right hip forward, left hip back, so our hips are square to the mat. Left knee should be stacked over the left ankle. And think about bringing the heart forward. So we can lift the gaze a little bit here. And this is our lunge. So we're still inhaling and exhaling through the nose. We'll stay here for a couple more breaths. As you exhale, maybe that right hip opens up a little more and sinks down toward the ground. So we feel a nice stretch through the right hip flexor and probably a little through the glute and the upper hamstring of the left leg. So when you reach your next inhale, root through the left foot and then let it bring that right foot forward to meet the left, finding yourself back in one of those forward folds as you exhale. Next inhale, roll back up the spine. And exhale as the shoulders come back. Palms open up. So we're going with a little bit of a flow here. Inhale, lift the arms. Lift the gaze. Exhale as palms come together. Bow down into your forward fold. We can bring the palms to the mat, and this time we're going to step that left foot back into a lunge. And again, just hanging out here. You're not in a yoga studio, you're at home, or wherever you are watching this. So don't worry about how you look. Just be present with how you feel. So think about the adjustments we made on the right side, and we're going to talk through them here on the left. If your hips are open off to the left, that means we need to bring that left hip forward, right hip back. So you can feel that shift, maybe from here to here, as you bring the left hip forward and right hip back, stacking the right knee over the right ankle. Options for the hands include being down on the palms or on the fists, or even if you feel like you need to bring both hands inside the right leg, you can. Remember, lift the gaze, so it brings the heart forward. Continue your yogic breath, a simple inhale and exhale through the nose. I always like to close my eyes once I get settled in. Kind of heightens my awareness and my other senses. And you always have the option to lower that left knee down to the ground if you need to. Staying here for a couple more breaths. Your next inhale, root through that right foot first and bring that left foot forward to meet the right. Exhale as you dip into that fold, lowering the head and lifting the hips. Sturdy through both feet here before we inhale and roll up the spine. to mountain. Exhale, open the heart. Inhale, arms come up overhead once more. Exhale, fold down. This time, inhale, lift halfway, so we've got a flat back, fingertips come to the shins. Exhale, fold, so head lowers again, gazes back between the legs. And then we're just going to take a little squat here. So if your knees are okay for this, just squat down, bring the hips down to the floor, and we'll finish off with that Baddha Konasana, bound angle, butterfly pose. So bring the bottoms of your feet together, bring your heels in toward your hips, toward where we imagine that our first chakra is. And again, you can wiggle around a little bit here, find a comfy spot. And if you need to maneuver that extra booty flesh away from the bones, go ahead and do that now. And so we want to feel those sits bones really connected to the ground. So we've got our bone here in our butt, basically, kind of grounded right up against the yoga mat or the floor or wherever you are. I think you get the idea. So you're still breathing, inhaling and exhaling through the nose, finding a position that's comfortable here. So you can grip on the ankles, down around the toes, or even a trick that I've learned is to take the feet, so the arches of the feet here, just open them up like pages of a book. And that helps open up the hips a little more, helps the knees drop toward the ground. So imagine that you're anchored here in the center as the hips open. Close the eyes. Sit nice and tall. So that stacked posture that we found in mountain pose, we're finding it here in bound angle. As we keep the shoulders stacked over the hips, chin level, smooth breath. If you need to, you can release the hands back behind you. Stay on little gecko fingers here behind so it keeps the spine nice and tall, and we can press the hips open even a little more, pressing the knees down toward the mat, getting a nice stretch through the inner thigh, through the groin. Eyes closed here. Heart lifts. Don't arch the back too much. Try to keep it straight. But lift up through the heart so we could give more length to the spine. And on your next exhale, come back to center and find a comfortable seated position. Legs crossed. And we'll round out this very short practice by closing our eyes, bringing our hands out to our knees, turning our palms upward as an offering of thanks for this time that we had on our mat, to simply breathe, be present, and know that we are alive with our breath. Bring the palms together at heart center, and then raise up to the third eye and bow to say namaste.